Hey everyone, are you ready for a super fun story? Grab a snack, sit back, and let's dive into something wild. Picture this, a quiet, sunny afternoon in a little place called Maple Grove. It's one of those neighborhoods where nothing big ever happens. The houses all look the same: neat lawns, white fences, and flowers in every yard. Kids ride bikes down the street, and old folks sit on porches sipping lemonade. Boring, right? Well, that's how it was until Jake Miller showed up. Yep, Jake was the new guy in town, and oh boy, did he shake things up. Jake wasn't like most people. He was tall, like really tall, taller than your tallest teacher. He had messy brown hair and wore old jeans and a faded blue shirt. He didn't talk much either. When he moved into the little gray house on Maple Lane, he didn't throw a party or say hi to anyone. He just carried his boxes inside, shut the door, and that was that. Most people didn't even notice him. They were too busy mowing their lawns or walking their dogs. But one person did notice him, and she wasn't happy about it. Her name was Linda Perkins. Now let me tell you about Linda. She wasn't just any neighbor. She was the boss of the neighborhood, the HOA president. HOA stands for Homeowners Association, which is like a club that makes rules for everyone. Linda loved rule. She loved them so much she'd walk around with a little ruler in her pocket. She'd measure your grass to make sure it wasn't too tall. If it was even a tiny bit over 3 inches, bam, she'd send you a letter saying, "Cut your grass or pay a fine." She'd check your mailbox to see if it was straight. She'd even peek at your trash cans to make sure they were hidden. Linda wanted everything perfect, and she didn't like anything or anyone messing up her perfect little world. So when Jake rolled into town in his rusty old truck, Linda's eyes got big. That truck was loud and ugly, with dents on the side and a bumper that looked like it might fall off. Jake parked it right in front of his house, not in the garage, not down the street, but right there where everyone could see it. Linda hated it. She stood on her porch, arms crossed, staring at that truck like it was a monster. "Who does this guy think he is?" she grumbled to herself. She marched over to her friend Betty's house next door and said, "Have you seen that junky truck? It's ruining our street." Betty nodded and sipped her coffee. "He's weird, Linda. He didn't even wave when I said hi yesterday." Linda's face got all scrunched up. "Exactly," she said. "He's rude, and look at him. He doesn't even smile back when I wave. Something's off about that guy." Betty agreed, and the two of them sat there whispering about Jake like he was some kind of mystery. They didn't know it yet, but they were right about one thing: Jake was a mystery. A big one. He wasn't just some quiet guy with a beat-up truck. Nope. He had a secret, and it was a secret so cool it was going to flip Linda's perfect little neighborhood upside down. Let's rewind a bit and talk about Jake moving in. It was a hot Saturday when he pulled up in that noisy truck. The sun was shining bright, and kids were playing kickball in the street. Jake didn't say a word to anyone. He just hopped out, grabbed a box from the back, and walked inside his new house. The kids stopped kicking their ball for a second and stared. "Who's that?" little Tommy asked his sister Mia. "Dunno," Mia said, shrugging. "He looks boring." And that was that. The kids went back to their game, and Jake kept unloading boxes. Big ones, small ones, even a funny-shaped one that looked like it might hold a guitar or something weird. Across the street, Linda watched from her window. She had her curtains pulled back just enough to peek out without being seen. She saw Jake's truck, his boxes, and the way he didn't talk to anyone. "He's trouble," she whispered to herself. "I can feel it." She grabbed her phone and called her other friend, Sue. "Sue, there's a new guy here and he's already breaking rules," Linda said. "His truck's an eyesore and he didn't even introduce himself." Sue laughed and said, "Oh, Linda, give him a chance. Maybe he's shy," but Linda didn't want to give him a chance. She wanted him gone, or at least following her rules. The next day, Linda decided to take action. She put on her fancy red shoes, the ones she wore when she meant business, and marched over to Jake's house. She knocked on his door loud and hard. Knock, knock, knock. Jake opened it, looking surprised. "Hi," he said, his voice quiet. Linda puffed out her chest and said, "I'm Linda Perkins, HOA president. Your truck is ugly and it's parked wrong. Move it to the garage or I'll write you a fine." Jake blinked at her. "Yes, ma'am," he said, then shut the door. Linda stood there, shocked. He didn't argue or yell, he just said, "Yes, ma'am," and closed the door. That made her even madder. "Rude," she huffed, stomping back to her house. Later that week, Linda saw Jake outside again. He was fixing his mailbox, which was a little wobbly. She waved at him with one of her big fake smiles, the kind where her teeth showed but her eyes didn't look happy. Jake didn't wave back, he just nodded and kept working. Linda's smile dropped fast. "He's so strange," she told Betty over coffee the next morning. "He doesn't talk, he doesn't wave, and that truck is still there. I bet he's hiding something." Betty leaned in close. "Like what?" she asked. Linda shrugged. "I don't know yet, but I'll find out." And that's where things started to get interesting. See, Linda was right. Jake was hiding something, but it wasn't anything bad or sneaky like she thought. It was something big, something awesome, something that was going to make her wish she'd never messed with him. Jake wasn't just a tall, quiet guy with a rusty truck. He was someone special, someone with a job that Linda couldn't even dream of, but she didn't know that yet. All she saw was a guy who didn't fit into her perfect little neighborhood, and she was determined to make him follow her rules or get him out. Every day, Linda found something new to pick on. One morning, she saw a weed in Jake's yard. "A weed," she cried, pointing at it like it was a crime scene. She wrote him a note and taped it to his door. "Pull your weeds or pay $10. Jake read the note, shook his head, and pulled the weed. Another day, she didn't like how his trash can was a little too close to the street. "Move it back," she yelled across the road. Jake moved it, quiet as always. Everyone else in Maple Grove thought Jake was nice enough, just shy maybe, but Linda, she saw him as a problem, a puzzle she needed to solve. What Linda didn't know was that Jake wasn't scared of her notes or her yelling. He wasn't even annoyed. He was just waiting for the right moment to show who he really was. And when that moment came, oh boy, was Linda in for a surprise. Her perfect little world, with all its rules and ruler-measured grass, was about to get turned upside down. Jake's secret was like a hidden treasure, and soon everyone would see it, especially Linda. So what do you think Jake's hiding? Is he a superhero, a spy, maybe a secret prince? I want to hear your guesses. Drop them in the comments below and tell me where you're watching from today. Oh, and if you're loving this story so far, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what happens next. Jake's secret is coming and it's going to be awesome. Ready to find out? Let's keep going. Okay, let's dive back into our story. Things are heating up in Maple Grove, and it's all because of Linda and Jake. Linda Perkins, the HOA boss lady, could not stand Jake Miller. Not one bit. Every single day she'd find something new to grumble about. One morning she'd stand on her porch squinting across the street and yell, "His mailbox is crooked." The next day she'd point at his yard and snap, "Those weeds are an eyesore." She acted like Jake's little gray house was the worst thing to ever happen to her perfect neighborhood. Linda wasn't quiet about it either. Oh no, she'd put on her shiny red shoes, the ones she wore when she meant business, and march right over to Jake's place. Her feet would stomp on the sidewalk loud enough for everyone to hear. Bang, 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 she'd pound on his door like she was trying to wake up the whole street. Jake would open it, looking calm as ever, and Linda would start barking orders. "Fix that mailbox," she'd say, wagging her finger, or "pull those weeds or I'll fine you." Sometimes she didn't even wait for him to answer. She'd scribble mean notes on little pieces of paper like, "Your truck is ugly," or "Clean up your," tape them right onto his rusty old truck. Then she'd storm off, feeling proud of herself. Jake, he didn't argue. He didn't yell back. He'd just look at her with those quiet eyes, nod his head, and say, "Yes, ma'am." Then he'd shut the door or peel the note off his truck and go back inside. That was it. No fighting, no fussing. Everyone in Maple Grove saw it happen. The kids playing outside would whisper, "Wow, Jake's so chill." Old Mr. Thompson, who liked to sit on his porch with his dog, would chuckle and say, "That boy's got patience." Even Betty, Linda's coffee buddy, would shake her head and mutter, "He's too nice to her." Everyone thought Jake was a pushover, someone who'd let Linda boss him around forever. And Linda, she was super sure of it. She'd smirk and tell her friends, "He's scared of me. I've got him under control." But here's the thing, Jake wasn't scared, not even a little. Linda thought he was weak because he didn't talk back, but she was so wrong. Jake wasn't fazed at all. See, he'd met people like Linda before, bossy people, nosy people, people who thought they could tell everyone what to do. He knew how to handle them. He didn't need to shout or get mad. He just stayed cool, like a kid who knows a secret and isn't telling yet. While Linda strutted around the neighborhood head high, ruler in her pocket, acting like she owned every inch of Maple Grove, Jake watched her. He saw her march up and down the street, checking lawns and peeking at trash cans. He heard her loud voice barking orders, and he didn't care. Why? Because Jake wasn't afraid of her or anyone. Not Linda, not her silly rules, not even the fines she kept threatening him with. He'd fix the mailbox when she complained, sure. He'd pull the weeds or move his trash can, but he didn't do it because he was worried. He did it because he had a plan. He was waiting. Waiting for what? Oh, that's the best part, and I'm not going to spill it just yet. Let's keep the fun going. Picture this, one sunny afternoon, Linda was at it again. She stood in her yard, hands on her hips, staring at Jake's house. "Look at that truck," she huffed to herself. "It's still there, big and ugly as ever." She grabbed a pen and paper, wrote another nasty note, "Move this junk or else," and stomped over to stick it on his windshield. Jake was outside, watering a little flower he'd planted by his steps. He saw her coming, her red shoes clicking on the pavement. She slapped the note on his truck and glared at him. "You better listen this time," she snapped. Jake looked up, gave her that same little nod, and said, "Yes, ma'am." Then he went back to watering his flower. Linda spun around and marched away, thinking, "Ha, I've got him trained." But Jake wasn't trained. He wasn't her puppet. He was just letting her think she was winning for now. Every time she yelled or left a note, he'd watch her with those quiet eyes. He'd see her puff out her chest like a big, bossy bird. And inside, he'd smile a tiny bit, not a mean smile, just a smart one. Because Jake knew something Linda didn't. He wasn't some random guy who'd moved into Maple Grove to mess up her rules. He was there for a reason, a big, exciting reason. And Linda's bossy ways. They weren't going to stop him. They were just making his plan even better. The neighbors started to notice how Linda picked on Jake all the time. Little Mia, the girl who played kickball, told her brother Tommy, "She's so mean to him, he didn't even do anything." Tommy nodded and said, "Yeah, but he never gets mad, that's weird." Old Mr. Thompson would watch from his porch and mumble, "That Linda's digging herself a hole, mark my words." Even Betty, who usually agreed with Linda, started to wonder. "Maybe you're being too hard on him," she said one day over coffee. Linda just laughed. "Too hard? He deserves it. He's hiding something, Betty. I'll figure it out." Oh, Linda. She had no idea how right she was, but not in the way she thought. Jake was hiding something, but it wasn't anything bad. It was something awesome, something that was going to make her jaw drop and her red shoes stop stomping. Every time she banged on his door or taped a note to his truck, she was getting closer to the day she'd find out. And Jake, he was fine with that. He kept his cool, kept waiting, and kept watching her strut around like the queen of Maple Grove. He knew his moment was coming, and when it did, Linda wouldn't know what hit her. So what do you think Jake's up to? Why's he so calm when Linda's so mean? Got any ideas? Drop them in the comments. I can't wait to hear. This story's getting good, right? Stick around because the fun's just starting. Alright friends, let's jump back into our story. Things are getting wild in Maple Grove, and it's all because of Linda and Jake. Picture this, it's Friday evening, the sun is going down and the sky is turning orange and pink. Most people in the neighborhood are inside, eating dinner or watching TV. But not Linda Perkins. Oh no, Linda's up to her usual tricks, spying. She's standing at her window, peeking through the curtains like she's a detective in a movie. She's watching Jake's house across the street, waiting for something, anything, to prove she's right about him being trouble. Then she sees it. A tiny light blinks on Jake's doorbell camera. You know, those little cameras people put by their doors to see who's there. The light flashes green for just a second, then goes off. Linda's eyes get big. Aha, she thinks, clapping her hands together. He's up to something sneaky. I knew it. She squints hard, but she doesn't see anyone at Jake's door. No delivery guy, no neighbor, nobody. That's weird, she mutters. If no one's there, why'd the light go on? He's hiding something. Her brain starts buzzing with ideas. Maybe Jake's a thief. Maybe he's got secrets in his house. Whatever it is, Linda's sure it's bad and she's going to catch him. Without even thinking twice, Linda grabs her phone off the kitchen table. Her fingers shake a little as she dials 911. The phone rings once, twice, then a lady's voice answers. 911, what's your emergency? Linda doesn't waste a second. There's a suspicious man at 42 Maple Lane. She shrieks, her voice loud and squeaky. I think he's breaking in, hurry. The operator lady tries to calm her down. Ma'am, slow down, she says. What did you see? Linda's too worked up to listen. I saw his camera light blink and no one's there. He's up to no good. Send the police now. The operator sighs and says, "Okay, we'll send someone to check it out." Linda hangs up, feeling like a hero. "I've got him now," she whispers to herself. She doesn't wait for the cops to show up. Nope, Linda's on a mission. She throws on her red shoes, the ones she wears when she's ready to take charge, and storms out her front door. Her feet hit the pavement hard as she marches across the street to Jake's house. She's moving fast, her arms swinging, her face all scrunched up with determination. She's going to catch Jake red-handed, whatever he's doing. Maybe he's sneaking something out the back. Maybe he's hiding something inside. She doesn't know yet, but she's sure she's about to bust him. Here's the funny part. Linda's so busy stomping over to Jake's place that she doesn't even notice what's happening behind her. A police car rolls up super quiet, its lights off, parking right at the curb. 2 cops sit inside watching her, but Linda's too focused on Jake to see them. She gets to his front yard just as Jake steps outside. Perfect timing. Linda stops dead in her tracks, points her finger at him and yells, "You're busted, mister." Her voice is so loud it echoes down the street. She's got her hands on her hips, her chest puffed out, ready to tell the whole neighborhood she was right about him all along. But Jake, he doesn't freak out, he doesn't run, he doesn't even look mad. He just stands there on his porch, hands in his pockets, and smiles. Yep, a little smile creeps across his face like he's in on a joke Linda doesn't get. That smile stops her cold. She blinks at him, her finger still pointing, her mouth open like she's about to yell again. But something's off. Why isn't he nervous? Why isn't he arguing or trying to explain? Most people would be scared if someone yelled, "You're busted," at them, especially with the police on the way. But Jake's just standing there, cool as a cucumber, smiling like he's got nothing to hide. Linda's brain starts spinning. Why's he smiling? She thinks. He should be sweating. He should be begging me not to tell. She takes a step closer, squinting at him. "What are you up to?" she snaps. Jake doesn't answer. He just keeps smiling, his eyes locked on hers. That's when Linda hears it, a car door shutting behind her. She spins around fast, and there it is, the police car. 2 officers step out, big and tall, with shiny badges on their uniforms. Linda's heart jumps. Good, she thinks. And they're here to arrest him. The cops walk up slow, their boots tapping on the sidewalk. One of them, a guy with a mustache, looks at Linda and says, "Evening, ma'am. We got a call about suspicious activity." Linda nods so fast her head might fall off. "Yes, it's him," she says, pointing at Jake again. "He's the suspicious one. His camera light went on and no one's here. He's up to something bad." She's sure she's won. She's sure the cops are going to grab Jake, put him in handcuffs, and drag him away. Then she'll be the hero of Maple Grove, the lady who caught the sneaky new guy. But here, where things get interesting, the cops don't rush at Jake. They don't pull out handcuffs. Instead, the mustache cop looks at Jake and nods, like they know each other. The other cop, a lady with short hair, doesn't even look worried. She just stands there, hands on her belt, watching. Linda's jaw drops a little. What's going on? She thinks. Why aren't they arresting him? Jake's still smiling, and now it's bigger, like he's about to laugh but holding it in. Linda's starting to feel funny. Something's not right, and she doesn't like it. See, this is where the small revelations start popping up. Linda thought she had Jake all figured out. She thought he was a pushover, a weirdo, maybe even a crook. But that smile, that nod from the cop, those little things are hints that Jake's not who she thinks he is. He's not nervous because he doesn't have to be. He's not arguing because he doesn't need to. Linda's big plan to bust him is falling apart and she doesn't even know it yet, the cops being there. That's not bad news for Jake, it's bad news for her. But why? What's Jake hiding? We're getting closer to finding out and it's going to be so much fun. What do you think's happening? Why's Jake so calm? Drop your guesses in the comments, I'm dying to hear them. This story's getting twisty and we're not done yet. Stick with me because the big surprise is coming soon. Okay friends, hold on tight, this is the part you've been waiting for. The story's getting super exciting now and everything's about to flip upside down in Maple Grove. Let's dive in. So there's Linda, standing in Jake's front yard, pointing at him like she's the smartest person ever. She's yelling, "You're busted," and feeling so proud because the police just showed up. The sun's almost gone and the streetlights are flickering on. Two cops step out of their quiet little police car and Linda's jaw drops. She can't believe how fast they got here. She's sure they're about to grab Jake and haul him away. Finally, she thinks, I caught him. One of the cops, the guy with the mustache, walks up slow and calm. "Evening, ma'am," he says, tipping his head a little. "We got a call about suspicious activity." His voice is deep and steady, like he's not in a hurry at all. Linda's practically bouncing on her toes. She jabs her finger at Jake again, her face all smug and happy. "That's him," she cries. "Arrest him, he's the suspicious one. I saw his camera light blink and no one was there. He's up to something sneaky." She crosses her arms, smirking, thinking she's the hero of the day. In her head, she's already telling Betty and Sue how she saved the neighborhood from the weird new guy. But then something funny happens. Jake doesn't look scared. He doesn't run or shout or beg. Instead, he chuckles. Yep, a little laugh comes out, soft and easy, like Linda just told a silly joke. Linda blinks at him, confused. Why's he laughing? She thinks. He's supposed to be scared. The cops don't move either. They just stand there, watching Jake with calm faces. Linda's starting to feel a tiny bit worried, but she shakes it off. Arrest him already. She snaps at the cops, stomping her red shoe on the grass. Jake tilts his head and reaches into his pocket. Linda's eyes get big. She thinks he's pulling out something bad, like a trick or a lie, but nope. He pulls out something small and shiny. He holds it up and the streetlight catches it. It's a badge, a real, honest-to-goodness police badge with his name on it. Linda freezes. The cops don't even blink. Jake looks right at her and says, "Actually, I'm Officer Jake Miller. Undercover. Been keeping an eye on this neighborhood for weeks." His voice is quiet but strong, and that little smile is still on his face. Linda's face, oh boy, it goes white like she just saw a ghost. Her mouth flops open but no words come out. She looks like a fish trying to breathe. The mustache cop nods at Jake like they're old buddies. The lady cop with short hair gives a tiny smile too. "Hey Jake," she says, super casual. Linda's brain is spinning. What?" she stammers, her voice all shaky. This can't be right." She takes a step back, her red shoes wobbling on the grass. She's so shocked she almost trips. Here's the big reveal, friends. Jake's not just some quiet guy with a rusty truck. He's a police officer, an undercover one, which means he's been pretending to be a regular guy to do secret police work. Turns out there've been a bunch of break-ins around Maple Grove, sneaky crooks stealing stuff from houses nearby. The police sent Jake to live here and watch everything quiet-like so he could catch the real bad guy. And guess what? That bad guy definitely was Jake. Linda had it all wrong. The mustache cop looks at Linda and says, "Ma'am, we know Officer Miller, he's one of us." Linda's face goes from white to red, super red like a tomato. She's embarrassed, mad, and confused all at once. "Wait," she stammers again, waving her hands. "This is a mistake. I didn't mean I thought." She can't even finish her sentences. She's tripping over her own words, trying to figure out how she got this so messed up. She called 911 on a cop who's been protecting the neighborhood. How did this happen? Jake shrugs, super calm, and puts his badge back in his pocket. "Next time," he says, looking right at Linda, "maybe don't judge a book by its cover." His voice isn't mean or loud, it's just simple, like he's giving her advice. But oh man, does it sting. Linda's mouth snaps shut and she stares at him, her eyes wide. She doesn't know what to say. She thought she was so smart, spying on Jake, writing notes, yelling about his truck and his weeds. She thought he was a troublemaker. But now she's the one who looks silly. The cops turn to Jake. "Everything okay here?" the lady cop asks. Jake nods. "Yeah, just a mix-up," he says. "Thanks for coming by." The mustache cop tips his head again. "No problem, Miller, see you around." Then the two of them walk back to their car, leaving Linda standing there like a statue. She watches them go, her hands shaking a little. She can't believe it. She called the police on the police, and they're not even mad at Jake, they're his friends. Jake doesn't rub it in. He doesn't laugh at her or say, "I told you so." He just looks at Linda for a second, then turns and walks back to his porch. "Have a good night," he calls over his shoulder, super nice and polite. Linda doesn't move. She's stuck, her red shoes planted in the grass, her brain buzzing with a million thoughts. She was so sure Jake was bad news. She spent weeks picking on him, banging on his door, tapping notes to his truck. And now she knows he's the good guy, the one keeping Maple Grove safe. The police car pulls away, quiet as it came, and the street gets still again. Linda finally blinks and shakes her head like she's waking up from a dream. She turns and trudges back to her house, her shoulders slumped. She doesn't feel like a hero anymore. She feels like a fool. Jake's not the sneaky one she is. All that spying and yelling, and she didn't even see the truth right in front of her. What do you think, friends? Did you guess Jake was a cop? How do you think Linda feels now? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I can't wait to hear. This big reveal was so fun, right? Stick around because there's more to come in Maple Grove. Hey friends, we're back in Maple Grove and things are wrapping up after that big wild reveal. Let's see what happens next. It's all about making things right and feeling good again. Ready? Here we go. So after Jake showed everyone his police badge and told Linda he was an undercover cop, everything changed. Linda Perkins, the big bossy HOA lady, couldn't even look at Jake anymore. Not even a tiny peek. She stood there in his yard that night, her face red and her mouth shut tight, while the police car drove away. She didn't say another word, not sorry, not oops, nothing. She just turned around, her red shoes dragging on the ground, and shuffled back to her house. When she got inside, she slammed her door so hard the windows shook. She was done, totally embarrassed, and oh boy did she feel silly. By the next morning, the whole neighborhood knew what happened. News travels fast in a little place like Maple Grove. Kids like Mia and Tommy were whispering about it while they played outside. "Did you hear?" Mia said, kicking her ball. "Linda called the cops on a cop." Tommy laughed so hard he almost fell over. "She's so goofy." Old Mr. Thompson, sitting on his porch with his dog, told everyone who walked by. That Linda thought Jake was a bad guy, but he's the hero, he said, chuckling. Even Betty, Linda's coffee buddy, couldn't stop talking about it. I told her to leave him alone, she said to Sue over the phone. Now look what happened. People didn't just talk, they started acting different too. Jake used to be the quiet new guy no one really noticed. But now, oh, they noticed him big time. The next day, little Mia's mom baked some chocolate chip cookies and brought them to Jake's house. Thanks for keeping us safe, she said, smiling big. Jake took the cookies and said, "Aw, thanks," with that shy grin of his. Then Mr. Thompson waved at him from across the street, something he'd never done before. "Good job, son," he called out. Even the kids stopped their kickball game to run over and say hi. "Are you really a cop?" Tommy asked, eyes wide. Jake nodded. "Yep, but it's a secret job, so SHH. The kids giggled and ran off, pretending to be cops themselves. Linda, though, she was nowhere to be seen. Usually she'd be out there with her ruler, measuring grass or yelling about trash cans, but not anymore. She stayed inside her house all day, her curtains shut tight. No more peeking out the window, no more stomping around in her red shoes. She was too ashamed to show her face. See, Linda had been so sure Jake was trouble. She'd spent weeks banging on his door, tapping mean notes to his truck, and telling everyone he was sneaky. And now everyone knew she was wrong, super wrong. She didn't just mess up, she messed up in front of the whole neighborhood. A few days later, something even bigger happened. Linda quit the HOA. Yep, she was done being the boss. She sent a little letter to everyone's mailbox that said, "I'm not the president anymore, someone else can do it." That was it, no fancy words, no excuses. People were shocked. Linda loved being in charge. She loved making rules and telling everyone what to do. But after the Jake mix-up, she couldn't handle it anymore. She didn't want people staring at her, whispering about how she called 911 on a cop. So she stepped down and stayed quiet. No more spying, no more notes, no more anything. Linda was out of the game. Jake didn't make a big deal out of it, though. He could have bragged or laughed at her. He could have told everyone, "Ha, I showed her." But that was Jake. He wasn't mean or loud. He just went back to his quiet life like nothing happened. He'd water his little flower by the steps, fix up his rusty truck, and nod at people who waved. He didn't need to gloat. He knew he taught Linda a lesson she'd never forget, and that was enough for him. He didn't care about being the big hero or rubbing it in her face. He just wanted to do his job and keep the neighborhood safe like he'd